In this lecture, we're going to talk about a couple of different things: scoping, tailoring, certification, and accreditation. So let's start out with the first two. When we in our organization build our data security controls and frameworks, the most common approach would be us looking at the standards and the baseline that are there for our industry. We can then use the tailoring and scoping to decide which controls we are going to use and how we are going to deploy them. Obviously, implement different controls for data at rest and data in motion. Some of these standards and frameworks could be the ones we have talked about already: PCI DSS, ISO 27000 series, Octave, COBIT, ITIL, or some of the NIST publications. Regardless of which framework or standard we are looking at, we need to ensure that it is going to work within our organization and in our unique environment. For that, we could use scoping. And scoping is where we determine which parts of a standard we want to deploy in our organization. And as the name indicates, we determine what from that standard is in scope and what is out of scope. If there is something from that control or that standard that just doesn't apply to us, well, then we can leave it out of scope. Tailoring is slightly different. This is us tailoring that baseline or that standard to our unique environment. That could be us choosing to say we want this standard, but we want AES 256-bit encryption on everything. Or we can say this is the baseline for all our laptops, but in these three departments that handle critical data, we want stronger encryption and more stringent controls. This, again, ties back to our due diligence and the protection levels set by the data owner. Which then brings us to certification and accreditation. Certification is all the things that we do on a system before we hand it off to the data owner, everything that needs to be done to ensure that the protection profile for that system is appropriate for the data it stores. We have a long list of things we do: server hardening, risk analysis, auditing, testing, validation, all that to ensure the right protection profile. We then make a report with everything that we have done to the system, how it is going to work in our environment, both the good and the bad, and then we present that to the data owner for accreditation. And accreditation is where the data owner accepts the certification and the residual risks. They accept that the system's overall security profile and functionality is what they need, and that they are adequate for what they are protecting. And this should always happen before we put a system into our production network. Now let's say that the data owner refuses to accept the certification. Well, then we need to work with them to address their concerns, whatever they may be, so we can get that system accredited. I don't think I have worked anywhere where this had been a problem, but I think that is probably because we did proper project management. We were very clear from the beginning what is the goal, what is in scope, and what is out of scope. And with that, we are done with this lecture. Thank you.